Hello there. What do you know about digital ID? It appears that they are becoming mandatory in many countries. Not in the West yet, but it is coming. They are outright telling us that they're working on it. And in Vietnam, they are rolling it out. From January 1st, 2025, bank accounts that have not been reconciled or updated with biometrics will have their online transactions stopped. This is the reason why banks are simultaneously implementing programs to encourage customers to update their biometrics. So you're going to have a national database with all of your biometric scans and all of your health information and your credit card and everything centered there so that you can be ruled conveniently. This is required for CBDCs, carbon credits, and many other programs that they are trying to create. Instantly, CBDCs are central bank digital currencies. Essentially, it's a digital token money that's supposed to replace cash and is what they call programmable money. People who are trying to institute it in places like Davos, for example, the World Economic Forum, and so on, are congregating. You know, your ministers and your presidents go there, and they talk about how they want programmable money, where basically the bank or the country or even your employer, if they are afforded that luxury, can decide what you are and are not allowed to spend your money on and how much and when. So, for example, if they decide that you're eating too much meat and meat is a lot of damage to the planet because of carbon emissions produced by the cows or whatever, then they can limit you only so much meat per month. If the economy is doing badly and we need to inject some money, they can just say that your money will expire if you don't spend it in a couple of months. These are examples they actually gave. So all of that can only come after digital IDs are created. There's also the problem of having all of biometrics in one place being very easy for someone to hack into, and also there will be third parties that will try and buy such information for research purposes. If you thought COVID was bad, just think about what the good people in labs like Wuhan can do with your biometric data. And not just yours, we're talking about massive amounts of people, millions and millions of people. The more knowledge they have, the more information about the genetics and biometrics of human beings, the worse they can do, I suppose. They can create all sorts of interesting medical situations for us in the future. So this one is, of course, like I said, from Vietnam. This is Kuwait. Threatens to freeze all services for those with unregistered biometrics. And finally, I have here this. Digital IDs, 50 countries ranked by digital ID requirements and use. This one is from February 1st. The other two are from about a week ago, so this one's older. But it does give you quite a few countries. 50 countries were analyzed, 37 implemented digital ID schemes, with the majority being mobile application linked to physical ID cards. 13 countries without fully fledged digital ID schemes are discussing or in the process of creating them. The majority of digital IDs collect personal data, with 13 also including biometrics. 19 of the countries with digital IDs have a centralized biometric database, which in my opinion is the worst. All of the digital IDs are used for accessing government services, with many also being linked to banking and healthcare. Like I said, they want to be able to implement travel restrictions based on your vaccine passports. They want to be able to decide on carbon credits, and they want to be able to do programmable money. There's lots that they want to do. Essentially, if you heard the phrase "you'll own nothing and be happy," that can only happen after digital IDs have been implemented. So all in all, just so you understand what these countries do, Nigeria, for example, 100 million digital IDs have been issued, with plans to have enrolled 148 million by the middle of this year. This national identification number is mandatory within the country and includes fingerprints, a facial picture, and a digital signature. Having one of those numbers is essential for accessing government services, getting healthcare, opening a bank account, and obtaining documents to be able to travel. So, in short, they want to control everything about your life, like I said. Your freedom of movement, your bank account, which is required for you to trade, essentially. In short, even your ability to own property. Everything is going to be centralized. And in my opinion, centralization is bad. It allows tyrants to take over, and this is exactly the direct purpose behind this change, in my personal view. Pakistan doing something very similar: computerized national identity cards, CNIC. It's not mandatory, but you can't do a number of things about it, like access government services and benefits, use healthcare services, open a bank account. Always they tie to the bank account. It's the, but like I said, foundation for economic control. So you can see a lot of other countries: Brazil and Vietnam, Singapore, Philippines, Peru, India, Saudi Arabia, and so on. There's quite a few countries here. I will say that they say China here, but China already has digital ID, from what I understand. In the list of people of countries that they checked and did not, I mean. Anyway, the main point in all of this is, what do we do next? In my personal opinion, do not comply. I intend to not comply. I did not comply with the mandate last time. I didn't take experimental medication. I'm not going to do it this time. If you know, California, I believe, has declared an emergency because of the bird flu, something like that. If there is going to be another lovely, pandemic, lockdowns, etc., I'm still going to refuse. And I view anyone who wants to create these systems, digital ID, CBDC, lockdowns, mandates about what medicine you are forced to take, anyone who does any of that stuff, I consider them an enemy. Now, I'm not saying that so that anyone does anything violent. Please don't be stupid. It's counterproductive. That said, anyone who is trying to take away your basic freedoms, like freedom of movement, or autonomy of your own body, deciding what medicine, especially experimental medicine, they want you to take, is your enemy. That's my take on it. And I'm not just blowing hot air. I mean it. I would view people like that taking over my government the same way I would view the 1930s Germans doing it, and I'm Jewish. I'm literally meaning it as a threat to my life. So, like I said, do anything stupid, but I think with every legal means, with every peaceful means in our disposal, we should absolutely resist any such attempt, and we should view them with extreme suspicion. The people who are doing this have a very bad track record. They have a track record of lying to us, of implementing policies that are unpopular with the public, in fact lying to the public and doing the exact opposite of what they claim they would do. And they have made awful, at best mistakes, at worst manipulations and outright betrayals when it came to the last pandemic. They claimed, for example, that the virus stops with every person who took the shot. And then turns out that it did not, and actually they never had any grounds to think that it did. They had research showing that it wasn't that way. But they still basically scared everyone and forced the mandates on us, knowing that there's no grounds for it whatsoever. So these are not trustworthy people, these are not good people, they do not have your best interests at heart. Really, today I don't even see left and right anymore. All I see are people who are pro and anti-establishment. Like, you have Dick Cheney and Kamala Harris on one side, and RFK Jr. and Donald Trump on the other. Who's left and who's right? It's just establishment versus populace, that's all. And what populist really means, it's not like anarchist. It's just the people who believe that all power should be centralized with the government, and that the specific group in power, what people call the globalist elite, have the right to rule and do whatever they want. And then there's those who don't trust them and think they're doing a bad job and that they might even be malicious. I personally think they're very malicious, but even if you're just skeptical of them instead of just outright hostile to them, I see it's all the same. It's just, do you agree to abide by each and every one of the decisions like a good little boy or girl, and not even complain about it because censorship, or do you disagree? And if you disagree, then you are cast out by them, and therefore you pretty much have to be on our side because they, signal friend or enemy distinction and nothing more. So by default, you either get trampled or you band with other people who are dissidents. So, after having said all of that, when are we going to see digital IDs in Western countries? In my opinion, they are going to try both tracks. One, slow and steady. Just try and create these programs. At first they'll be experimental, for convenience, optional, and they'll try to nudge people into it because I think a lot of people will not accept it. And they'll try and create incentives, programs to essentially gaslight people into doing it, socially pressure them, maybe give them advantages in terms of taxes and such for a bit. Just try and entice you into it or pressure you into it. And then when they feel like they have at least a baseline of people who have conceded, then they'll make a big push to demonize anyone who isn't opting into it and force you into it. Now that's one track. The other track is to try and do it all at once, meaning there'll be another pandemic or some other health emergency, and then they will demand it as part of the prescription for the cure, essentially. I think they'll try both things at once. There will be a slow and steady attempt going in the background, but it's just insurance. What they really want is to get it over with lightning quick. The game changes completely the moment digital IDs are instituted and everybody's registered. The moment that happens, they can move forward with a lot of other projects. They always have a ton of projects on the background that are very, very harmful to us, and they're currently restricted from doing the worst they can because of the need for the fundamental building block of this digital dystopia, which is digital ID. Once we lose that battle, we're going to have our, how to put it, a dozen other battles on our hands, and each one equally devastating. I think this is one of the greatest advantages of the globalist elite against us, the people, which is they can have tons of different think tanks and organizations, non-profits and such. They're working on different projects, and each one focuses on one thing, and basically they use the money and influence to implement it once it's ready. But the public sort of attention span is limited. You can't be angry about everything all the time, and you have to be upset with your government for an extended period of time and to a significant enough extent that it becomes a sort of social movement to push back on it, because there is very little tying the people in charge to their constituents right now. In order for there to be any kind of backstep from the elected representatives, there needs to be a massive public outcry. So you can't have a public outcry on every single issue that they are doing bad stuff on. It's going to come down to prioritization and also manipulation. We will not come out better for it. There's no way we will do any better than we're doing right now. Once digital ID is instituted, it's only going to get much, much worse. So I think this is the fundamental battle of our lifetimes. Digital ID must be stopped at the door, not a step further, and anyone saying otherwise, like I said, I personally consider them an enemy. I will relax that very strict rule for family and no one else, essentially. Family, in my opinion, should be beyond politics. But beyond that, I will literally treat everyone else. Like I said, don't do anything stupid or violent, but yeah, sort of Cold War adversary, if you will. Extreme suspicion, and yes, some hostility, I can't help it. Of course, my Christian viewers might feel that love thy enemy and so on, because I do believe that at least the foot soldiers, the people on the ground, are victims in this just like we are. They are being honestly treated as useful idiots, unfortunately. That said, if you are talking about the people in charge of this entire operation, I do believe that they're unbelievably evil. Not that we can actually do anything about them, unfortunately. I mean, I wish we could just get them charged with all of the bad stuff they're doing. Unfortunately, there is currently nowhere near enough political capital for our side to start questioning the many, many wrongdoings of the people currently planning to have us own nothing and be happy. It might change one day, I hope it does. But for now, at least, yeah. We'll see how it goes. I am honestly a bit worried. The main decision-making point will come when Trump gets into office. Whether he manages to create an administration that is clean of snakes, essentially, and push forward with an agenda that is pro-freedom, pro-privacy, or not. If he can't do it, if he can't start rolling back the advance of these technocratic dystopian would-be rulers, then we are in big trouble. and we'll have to, how to put it, escalate our rhetoric and also our non-compliance with everything. On the other hand, if he does well, then we're going to have some breathing room and we can take a more relaxed approach, not to lay down our guard completely, but we can try to have more persuasion than outright aggression as the sort of societal narrative on the right. What I'm trying to say is it would be best if we had the time to try and convince the other side, at least the people on the other side, that we are in the right and they should join us, because it has been quite effective. We have seen a great influx of people into our way of thinking since the last election. And I would like to continue that track if we have the time and if we have the opportunity to. On the other hand, if we don't, we might simply have to escalate rhetoric and basically plant our feet in the ground and say no more. We are not complying. If you keep going, you'll tear the social fabric completely, and we would rather that than complying with you on this. This is literally something that can never be allowed. I'm talking, of course, about digital IDs, lockdowns, vaccine mandates, the works. So, what do you think? Do you agree with anything? Do you think I'm going too far? I'm not far enough. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching and see you next time.